I think it's been on Latin-Wa for a while. Could be mistaken. There it is.
He does check back and turn pair to 10. Actually, a welcome sight, I would imagine, for Red.
For the pink, it appears he would agree. South of half.
It's a little bit interesting for Angelov. Griff can certainly have a 10, or perhaps 4s or 3s, but he doesn't have a 10 that often. Might Angelov have ideas of semi-bluffing? It's like he's just going for call.
Jig is up for Jack 8.
2 players.
Deuce on the river. That's a very nice card for Griff. Blocking the ace-5 we could potentially be concerned about, or the 5-6 for that matter.
28,7 millions. Tu peux voir s'il y a des short stacks à côté. Des short. Et t'arriveras pas à compter, ouais, laisse tomber.
Betting for value, targeting the 4 or the 3 is Griff's idea. Looks like Angelov is done. Take it, Griff. Very nice.
These are welcome infusions. I remember last night at one point he enjoyed a quadruple up when very short. So we leave him in table B behind and return to the feature where the Swedish chef has cooked up 14-1 with ace-10.
These are the sorts of spots where the small blind is very wide in theory, and the big blind doesn't call off as wide as it may feel, given that you know the small blind might have very low cards and stuff like this, but still, survival is of the utmost. This is somewhat close, but likely finds a road to the muck.
Know, by the way, that 9 was the one that sent Mora packing.
You're right. This could be the Queen 9 offsuit. Eliminator hour.
Against the jamming range of Ostet in the small blind, how does this holding perform?
It would make chips to call, but in the grand scheme of things, perhaps it doesn't perform well enough.
Yeah. Nicholas snacking on that big blind and big blind Annie.
And just to touch on what you asked me before about making a run and stuff, it's just different, you know? It had a few hundred players. It's great to win regular tournaments and get down there, and the pressure's real, and you do have some of those thoughts, but this just, it's day 8 right now.
Well, in spite
are on their backs.
of that,
Wow.
Look at this collision between Griff and Frankie. Malcolm, ace-queen.
You have over 30, right?
It came down as a min raise from Griff, the jam from Frankie, the snapper from the button.
Hand on a button.
Jordan, the covering stack, the dominating hand, and perhaps
King Thomas is nice.
the sense that he's going to bring us a click closer to a final table with 11 remaining. 71.8 million chip pot. 9-8-4
So good.
isn't helpful to this ace-queen. 10-jack runner, possible. Lady luck, that which we seek with immediacy.
He's got the club working now. 2 outs for Frankie.
That Queen of Clubs comes off the board, and as we can see, the Queen of Diamonds is grayed out. That card already pitched. This is a pure one-outer.
Griff said, "Don't do it to me. Not like this." It's a dangerous thing to say in this situation, but he does state it. And a very good game to you, sir. What a run. What a come up for Griff, Ali.
Well, I don't need to explain just how much emotion bubbles beneath the surface for all parties that remain here at this point. Griff with the primal outburst.
10 left.
Centers him
Just
up,
like that.
shakes hands, and yeah, like flies they drop. 2 tombstones already engraved here, late day 8, on the stone bubble now of the final table, as we have lost the young Parisian Malcolm Frankie. 18 career final tables. This will be the high water mark for him. Two 800K payouts, by the way. So finishing 10th versus 11th is not economically any more beneficial, and in fact, emotionally, I would say it's almost more detrimental, because we are on that stone bubble of the World Series of Poker main event final table. If I tasked you, Nick, with giving me, over the last 10 years, one name that finished 10th in the main, could you do it?
Wow. I probably could do it. I might need a little while. But I hear you, Ali.
Just forgotten soldiers out there, in spite of having waged war.
Unofficial right now. Man.
There's a look at the leaderboard, brought to you by GTO Wizard. We're going to step aside, get things set up, and return with more night shift coverage in just a few. Stay close.
You were watching that all in on the rail with your wife. She told you to never give up on poker. What does that kind of support mean to you after this 12th place finish in the main?
I mean, like, it's first a bit frustrated. I'm a bit frustrated to have come on 12. I really wanted to win this tournament, but I mean, I would just get some time in the shower right now. I'm just think through everything that I did, and then I'll be happy later. I will be fucking back next year. I'll get these guys. I don't care, you know. Like I just bust, but I busted fighting. In the beginning of the day, I was really tired. To be honest, I had very few sleeping last night because yesterday was a lot of adrenaline. And it was really tough to sleep, man. Like I mean, the main event just in the end, that's a battle against yourself, because your body kind of feels really tired. And I like to just play in a good posture, look at my opponent, and it takes even more energy to do that. But I don't regret any hands that I played today. I think I played that very well. I wouldn't play any hand different looking back, and I'm happy with it. You know, like poker is about making the right decisions. I think I just made all the decisions that I could make in a state of like in a rational state instead of like take it emotional. So I'm very happy with it. You know.
As well, you should be. I love the call out, and we'll see you next year. Thank you for the time. Appreciate it.
5.2.
Full stop. By the way, you know, there have been some discussions throughout. I'm not looking to
Go ahead, Ali. You just cut to the chase. You know?
stir any hornets' nests or anything like this, but with respect to, is there a need to create subcategories for women in poker such as that? Because I'll be the first to say that this is not required for Foxen. She holds her own open field, independent, again, full stop. Pocket eights now for Roberto Hernandez, performing quite well against this Jack 8 suited. Out of Mora.
And perhaps Moreau's hops in as well.
Given the flat by Gerardo, you could see things getting enticing. Yegor significantly off of his high water mark now. Not sure whether or not the upstuck psychology percolates. By the way, I saw Alex mouthing wow and then going in for a little smooch. Albeit dry, but nevertheless, I think that she
Oh, yeah, I don't think
revealed, by the way, that she had bluffed that particular pot, and he was quite impressed.
we don't need to keep smooch tabs on them, you know. They're together. They're romantically involved. I mean,
They're married.
they're married.
And that's, by the way, you know, sometimes it's being married that reduces the smooch counts.
Ace Jack suited for Kim. I just don't want you, you know, overstepping the line in this particular case. Oh, look at this.
Lines are being crossed by Mr. Kim, courtesy of Ace Jack suited.
And by the way, Hernandez with the eights,
I hear you.
you know.
I really do.
Yeah, I was down. It's 29.
If there's a cape to be donned out there, this is the gentleman to reach for it. Note this sizing. This was just 1.2, and suddenly Kim brings forward 27 to cover all parties.
I don't think Gerardo, end of the day, is going to push the 20 million forward, but he might. He really might.
Only he knows. Yeah, this gentleman is back after a brief pause with a single amalgamated table's worth of combatants here in the Coliseum that is the World Series of Poker main event Thunderdome. Jordan Griff amped up after he dispatched Malcolm Franke, and Joe Sirach, he's doing his thing out there. Not that we expected any less at any point. Ali Najad alongside Nick Schulman with the final installment of the night shift for this year's main event. Appreciate you burning the midnight oil if you're in the States. Appreciate you ignoring your posts at work if you're overseas. StoreX tournament summary, a little over 10,100 players began the journey. Only 10 remaining. 800 dimes, the next payout. And then the first seven-figure score will be upon us when we get to the official final table. There's the leaderboard. Brought to you by GTO Wizard. Joe Sirach, the first of the 9-figure stacks, or at least the only 9-figure stack at present. Poised to reach out and touch that $10 million first place payout. Word has come down, by the way, from the Twitter sphere, Nick, that the tank top features tennis player Yannick Sinner.
There it is. Okay.
I don't think that was overzealous a little.
I'm not up on my tennis these days. I'm not up on a whole lot, honestly, other than, you know, it's summer. Though I did watch Copa America earlier today, as well as Euro Cup final, I believe, was also.
Did you place a small wager on that just to make it a little more?
You know, it's going to be difficult for you to imagine this, but I think I've shared it, and you may have forgotten. I've never placed a sports bet.
That's right. That must have just flew out of my mind when you said it. much like it will this time. One table remains. That's really something for all 10 of these players.
I want to address.
Congratulations. That's incredible. No early celebrations in tournaments, but congrats to them and all of the departed over the last 2 days. Gonzalez is all in.
Just 14.3 in front of him. We're talking about a sub-10 big blind stack here. Might he find a patron in Malo? Big blind, ace, tray offsuit. Asking for the count.
It was 14
How
something.
close is this off of 26? Not at all or quite?
I think we're out. Not particularly. There it is. He's got some people out there.
Oh, here's some inside gestures.
And again, you know, we that gentleman who said "vamo, vamo, vamo" there has a piece. You could hear that in
One would imagine.
the delivery of that particular "vamo." It was
Economically
you know,
laced.
that's a guy at the track right now.
Whipping the racing form on his right buttock, trying to will the last few furlongs through.
That's right.
I love those dudes. By the way, this T-shirt is
Beard,
much like the
yeah.
poker hat that we were graced
It
with.
looks like bears.
Right, the same.
Right, the two orange lines,
school,
I think.
yeah.
Your first card is over there. He didn't want to expose it.
I appreciate that. Oftentimes, you know, a panhandler, a lot of times I don't really acknowledge, but then when you got one cardboard sign, he's like, need money for beer. When I was over at Cal, Telegraph Avenue, that's the guy. Where I was like, you know what, sir, here's $1. You've kept it real. And back then, by the way, everybody just
Oh, Emily, yeah.
accusing me of cheapness. That dollar will get you.
I got you.
You know?
Yeah.
Beers.
Been an incredible come up for Griff.
Brian, I can't see past it.
He was short,
78.
you know, recently. Now finds himself in third.
This thing can turn into a carnival ride in terms of the roller coaster as yo-yo and stack graphs. Ask your doctor if your heart is healthy enough for a deep run in the ME.
Hey, Tom. For a while. What did they fuck you?
Does put him in. Let's see if Coelho wakes up with something. Does not.
All for the winner, basically.
I like this guy with the hat,
You know, it's
the
funny.
shades, the stash.
I was zeroing in on him, thought perhaps a delegate from the Buena Vista Social Club was here to...
He has a Cuban kind of vibe.
You feel me? I could see a
This
Panini
guy's
press.
rail is here, by the way. Here we go.
Malo Latinois. A former energy consultant who went to the Grenoble Institute of Technology, got a master's in business management and enterprise administration.
What is that? Enterprise administration.
I don't know.
Enterprise? I mean,
I don't think it has to do with Star Trek.
sounds a little vague.
Focused on power markets, smart grid systems design.
Okay. And winning this main event.
Yeah, at present, no question.
It's like C-Rock is activating.
A6, the responsible kit. Uh-oh.
Couple of ladies for Tamayo. Well, hang on a second now.
Stop it. Just stop it. Is there a world?
Hang on a second. He's out.
7, an immediate pay jump of 200K. Gonzalez, 18.3. Coelho, 8.5. Is this ICM on display in its most acute manner?
Very much so. That is the display. I believe queens can get in there. I've been wrong about these spots before. Everybody has. But queens, that one's gotta, I think, play. However, he's out.
You know how much.
And he's here. I'm in here with you, you know?
70 minus that. I had it 70.
7.
So a do
Interesting
not
spot for Coelho, somewhat.
a do not adjust your screen sort of moment there that really helps to illustrate the unique gravity of having 10 million up top potentially. Even Segal,
Yeah,
ace queen, one that could ask questions against other opposition perhaps, or under other circumstances, played as a flat tidily. Ace 10 being chewed on now in the small by a stack that really is looking for an excuse to spin.
Yeah, that was a pretty shocking one. For Coelho, he knows C-Rock is wide, but the Segal flat feels so legit with this setup. Perhaps this ace-10 off is just not the one. And if he folds, he has 5.5 bigs and the button. And that's, you know, you do run it back in that situation sometimes. Kim had that day 4, I believe. Chrissy had it as well, day 4 or 5. Nice
out.
discipline from Coelho. And for Kim closing the big blind, let's see. He's just gone. Seems nice. Heads up to the flop.
Sirach dominated. 10-3 deuce does not provide help to either party. Sirach's been putting them up in the gym, by the way. I mean, the Python working on the left thigh.
Sirach looks strong.
He looks shredded
Right?
out there, man.
He looks like he could do 100 pull-ups in a row or something bizarre. A handstand for 6 minutes or something. Sirach is here. Check folds. Nicely done from Segal.
I didn't realize the wingspan on that man, by the way. I mean, a bit of an albatross.
Yeah. Get your stuff took. Sirach's around.
Well, it is Sirach's chips that were took there by one Jason Segal as we reflect on his poker life. Worked in insurance before turning to poker. By the way, you can sell insurance in poker as well. Jason, just for the record, made final three tables at the 2004 World Series of Poker main event. Before finishing in the top 25.
I've been saying it for days. I know this guy a little bit. He's an icy kind of cat, this guy. In these huge spots, that ice, it's worth a lot. He's a cool customer, this Segal. I'm telling you, I'm not just, you know.
Well, perhaps, based on that assessment, Nick, we could christen Jason the Snow Leopard.
What do you mean, Ali? I don't
He's
know.
an icy cat.
There it is. Yeah, I should have gotten that. For some reason I didn't. But there it is. I don't know. It's not like, oh, we should call him the Snow Leopard because. But I get what you're saying. Absolutely.
Now, oftentimes the dots that I do lay down are in need of connection. But that one, I feel like you're right. It was available to you. I didn't give you enough time with it, is maybe what happened. So the Snow Leopard makes it 3.2. It doesn't really roll off the tongue like I wanted it to.
Yeah,
We'll just call him
yeah.
Segal.
Okay. Sounds good.
Not
Pretty
so
one for
good
Astet.
against the Ace-10. As you mentioned, the pretty one for the Swede.
This guy just so great, Astet. He's here at the final table of the biggest main ever, albeit unofficial.
This man's won $48 million in online tournaments throughout the course of his career. It's really staggering. And now a 10 on the turn as the nut flush draw improves to second pair nut kicker. And Sagal slides sub half out there, was it?
And a quite nice quick check from Astet there on the turn. Sagal, who we can see is drawing dead, indeed did slide 4 out.
Uh-oh. Astet, another quick check. Aces and tens. Queen Jack has arrived. But might Sagal feel as though he can target King X 10X?
Let's see. This ace is worth an awful lot for Sagal in this line, but he might not be in the mood to deal with the Swede, who probably folds a lot of inferior hands and sometimes has us beat. It looked body language-wise like he was about to check. I can understand a check such as this.
It isn't compulsory to pursue value? Wow! What a
Very nice.
terrific
Sagal.
knuckle back there.
Yeah, I thought you showed the same hand for a second. It's a 4-side. Good check. Yeah, good check.
Even Nicholas has to acknowledge the soundness of that decision. It looks like his rail is here.
I think I saved some money.
You definitely did.
Speed limit for Griff. Ten-handed.
I'm more ace jack than ace 10.
That's what the thing I was going to say earlier when I began to say I wanted to address is whether or not going from 9 to 10 really
So,
changes a lot in terms of opening ranges and things such as this.
Yes, under the gun 10 is no joke.
Perhaps that was going to make this hard 10 look mightier than it is. Latin 1, ace jack off. Is that corduroy, by the way?
The jacket on Latin 1?
Yeah.
I was wondering that myself. I'm not sure what the material is.
Because when I think 100 plus degrees outside Fahrenheit, it's not my first choice in terms of material. But to be fair, we saw the bandana blowing in the wind earlier. They got the AC cranking.
It is cold
out there.
in the horseshoe. I don't know if he puts it, if he carries it under his arm, then once he enters it goes on, or if he just leaves the house with it. Sevens for Estet. Covering Griff ever so slightly pre.
Me? It's on me.
Climbs aboard for an extra 2.4. Offsuit connector here for Sirac.
Oh.
He's in. These multi-way spots are weird from the big. You'd like almost rather have 6-7 off than a Jack 10 or a 9-10. Not necessarily. Oh my!
What's that?
You would like to have this 7-8 against
Oh
bottom
my
set
goodness.
and Estet as well. Oh my word!
The joint for Sirac. A gutter and second pair effective for Astet with blocker properties and bottom set for Griff. Uh-oh.
Yeah. 3.5.
Astet comes out swinging. 3.5. Now salesmanship from Sirac.
If Sirach raises straight away, it's immediately bizarre for Griff. Right off the bat. But let's see.
For Jordan, without question, this feels like such a dreamy spot. We don't expect the nuts to risk losing customers, so we remove that from Ostet's range, perhaps, and then the flat from Sirach could be all manner
Huge
of
turn coming.
things.
Clean for Sirach, obviously. Disastrous for Griff. For Astet, he does double block the straight, but the overcall from Griff on the flop is so kind of alarming. And by the way, one must say, Sirach is pretty composed out there, just, you know? I know he has the stone nuts, but he's not just his body. He looks pretty calm.
We know why. On this occasion,
From Griff on the flop is
effective for Ostet with blocker properties and bottom set for Griff. Uh-oh. Ostet comes out swinging. 3.5. Now salesmanship from Sirach.
if Sirach raises straight away, it's immediately bizarre for Griff. Right off the bat. But let's see.
For Jordan, without question, this feels like such a dreamy spot. We don't expect the nuts to risk losing customers, so we remove that from Ostet's range, perhaps, and then the flat from Sirach could be all manner
Huge
of
turn coming.
things.
Clean for Sirach, obviously. Disastrous for Griff. For Astet, he does double block the straight, but the overcall from Griff on the flop is so kind of alarming. And by the way, one must say, Sirach is pretty composed out there, just, you know? I know he has the stone nuts, but he's not just his body. He looks pretty calm.
We know why. On this occasion,
What was the bet? 11 million. For Griff, likely we call. We're in the kind of call and pray zone, I suppose.
he agrees. And by the way, the call comes in with some pace. So Ostet can begin to sense that sevens are performing quite poorly for the time being.
Ostet may still wonder about a sticky aces or kings, but he is gone, and a nice choice it was. 43.7 in the middle.
Griff needs to find a pair on the board, and he's found quads.
Sully. Oh my.
And suddenly,
Griff is on a heater right now.
Sirach is
Ostet may still wonder about a sticky aces or kings, but he is gone, and a nice choice it was. 43.7 in the middle.
Griff needs to find a pair on the board, and he's found quads.
Oh my.
And suddenly,
Griff is on a heater right now.
Sirach is tasked with determining with what frequency this call, flop, turn action from Griff after opening is attached to a filly. Or better, as we can see.
There's 10 combinations of hands that beat us, and then there's perhaps 12 of kings or aces, and that's about it. Maybe he has jacks or tens, or ace nine suited, but it's already hyper condensed. For Sirach, seeing the board pair there, it is quite deflating, but we still have an incredible hand. Odd spot. Again, over 40 in the pot. Joe's trying to figure it out. 61 back left to play.
Could it be queens full?
It could definitely be queens full. It could be queens, nines, sixes, or fives easily as played.
And then there are kings and aces that you mentioned, which is what Sirach is targeting.
He goes for 35, I believe. What a moment this has to be for Griff. This is crazy stuff. You know, this is out of the movies. Doing his best to sell a bluff. It's just once it goes in, the gig is kind of up. One can always have a bluff, don't get me wrong, but this would be, you know.
It would be such a deeply unexpected spot in which
Hard to even have the combos. He does do it, and C-Rock doesn't like it.
God. Alex.
He asks for a count, by the way. You saw the visceral reaction, and now a page out of Mora's book with the F-Burger. Is he lamenting his choice to pursue value on the end instead of check, decide?
You know, he may have gone a little bit big here, and he's lamenting that. As again, Griff's range, it's kind of the aces, kings, and then these.
61.
But I think he's, you know, also lamenting the fact that Griff has a speed here. Almost always.
We can remove the aces and kings here because Griff would have no incentive to ask for the extra 26 million.
I'm not gonna.
When he could just flat, and Griff shows him
You want to
quads.
fold to the flop, Rich?
I'm
At
sorry.
8-7.
I'm not gonna make you guys wait.
At 8-7.
Good fold, Joe.
8-7's never good on the river though. With the raise. That's just the cooler.
Yeah. What a hand.
It's insane.
Would like to see Griff maybe keep that one under wraps. Snake, I don't know about you.
It's all right. They're gonna find out. It's such a, you know, like, you just kind of have it there. If you happen to have the queen nine suited one day and want to take it, or the right queen, or whatever.
I don't know. I'd love to see Sirach sweat that one out. To, you know, get in his head a little bit for 30, 40 minutes
I hear that. By the way, Ali, I hear you.
Why provide him the anguish?
Yeah.
And what a spin up this has been for the supply chain manager from Scottsdale, Arizona, hometown New City, New York. And I would imagine that some late night streaming is going on in the Empire State right about now with the homies cheering him on. 30 years of age, sports bettor, DFS player, with a son due later this year.
Ace queen off for Angelov.
Let's go. Raising the flop would have done worse.
Raised to 3.6.
That would put me in the blender. I would probably fold. What?
Fold?
Maybe.
Could be calling that.
That's strong. You leave that.
3.6. The payload here. Pre, just
I'll take one off.
a little north of the min by 400,000.
Can you shift to the left an inch?
And I know you're so deeply studied in these sorts of arts and the precision procedures. How much of a distinction is there between opening to 3.2 versus opening to 3.6?
The ideas are real, but that's somewhat minimal in the grand scheme of things when there's such bigger kind of fish to fry at times, but very real. Different setups do call for bigger opening sizes or just the min.
Look at that.
Look at this guy.
You see his movement from day 5 and beyond, and he has arrived as the chip leader. 136.5 million, and a dethroning of Sirac that is substantial, by the way, as Joe slips to 83.6. Plenty to play with. The cupboard is still stocked for Sirac. Not so much for Coelho. He is now dwindled to 7-7. Havana Nights on the rail, by the way, he may need a word with someone. The way, you know, the vibe I'm getting is, you know, he's waiting on.
He's adding some, you know, he's adding a little class to the rail, that guy.
Kind of reminds me of, I think it was the man in the yellow suit from Curious George. I don't know if you read those books growing up.
Yeah, I've read the Curious George books. Griff likely about to put Tamayo in. There it is.
Yeah.
Well, if we can fold queens, 7 deuce is also a fold. Not that there was ever any question.
That's true, though, Ali.
He really did muck the queens, didn't he?
He did. And if we're folding those, we're probably not calling that jam very often with that 7.7 of Coelho.
For me, the clear and decisive manner in which he did it, Nick, speaks to the fact that a strategic decision has been made.
He felt like he had these kings or aces in this setup until, because you're right, it was a snap fold.
Yeah.
As if we saw this coming and we're gone.
Listen, he's 27.5 now, in front of Gonzalez, in front of Coelho, just a click back of Latinois. Holding the official final table in a 7-figure score for the time being. It would seem fluid or things dynamic as well. Clutch always available, along with a different gear, but for now, I think we're going to see some deeply passive posture out of Tamayo.
All in.
Crime Dog
Go on, Griff.
jams the button.
Griff's leaning on him right now.
It was McGruff was the crime dog, wasn't it?
I'm not familiar with McGruff.
You remember that weird animated canine with the trench coat that was teaching us how to avoid trouble? I think it was like at the end of like G.I. Joe, they put a little, 10-second thing. Oh, don't take candy from strangers.
I vaguely now remember that.
It's a little bit weird, though, for the messenger to be dressed like a streaker. That's
What do you mean dressed like a
the
streaker?
trench coat.
Are streakers not just in the nude? Isn't that the idea?
Well, don't they trench and then they kind of surprise? Like, isn't that?
I don't know, Ali. I've never been part of one of those operations.
Producer Jackie stepping in, by the way, to advise I'm conflating streaker with flasher.
Well,
By the way, why does Jackie know the differences between such things? A sinister laugh in the headset just now. Suddenly a different perception of our mother hen here in the booth. Perhaps some dirt merchant tendencies out there, Producer Jackie. It's easy now.
I hope we don't have a streaker or a flasher this year at the main. I don't recall.
All in.
There it is. Gonzalez puts it in.
100%.
Don't think Segel's going to hunt him down. Might, though.
Jack ain't suited.
Count it.
Uh-oh.
By the way, Segel minned the other day with Jack Queen, I believe, and the button shoved, I want to say 11.
All right. Bigs, that is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he gave him a spin with the Jack Queen off. Segel might run it.
Didn't he just... Well, he jammed the small effectively. There was just a little bit more out of the the 5-6 offsuit it was that showered Mora.
13-5.
Feel lucky, Segal? Might be real, by the way. I've been trying to go with that more, Ali. I feel lucky I'm in. I don't feel it, I'm out.
Yeah?
You know, from time to time, yeah.
You're embracing your inner Clint Eastwood.
Yes. Exactly.
Okay. Didn't know you were such a cowboy.
He's gone.
I don't know.
It was close, you know, a little bit close.
It hurt him a little bit, didn't
It's
it?
a little bit close with those odds, sub 10, but this is an intense spot.
I believe you had McGee to start, but maybe I'm close to calling you. I don't know what you have either, so I can't really. Jackie. Yeah, I mean.
Modest as that haul is, it's an important one for the short-stacked Andres Gonzalez. And now that you've watched the best, learn from them with PokerGo's newest VIP subscription plan that includes access to over 100 training videos from the elite team at Run It Once. Elevate your game through teachings by Phil Galfond, Jason Kuhn, and Dan Jungleman Cates, plus so many more, along with merch credit to the PokerGo shop for a limited time. Upgrade today at PokerGo.com. And by the way, for those of you that are upgrading, would love to see you use that merch credit on something like the Night Shift t-shirt that they've made available, or the Indie